So I would say without a doubt that Gear 5 is the most polarizing transformation of Monkey D. Luffy. Gear 2, Gear 3, and Gear 4 are nowhere near as controversial as Gear 5. The main reason why, at least I would say, the main reason why, is the online ecosystem of today, where Gear 2 and Gear 3, they have their issues, without a doubt, but way back when, the online ecosystem was nowhere near as robust as it is today. So you have folks on Twitter, you have folks on Facebook, you have folks on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all talking about Gear 5. And whereas Gear 4 was a lot less so in terms, let's say, the talk about it in both positive and negative ways, as far as our in Dressrosa is mostly positive when it comes to Gear 4. But Gear 5, it's all over the place. And I can say that there is some valid reasons as to why people do not like Gear 5. Fundamental reasons. When it comes to how Luffy fights in Gear 5, that stylistic choice of Oda to make him more zany, more Looney Tune status, where Luffy's friends aren't people like Goku or Toriko or other shonen main characters. No, Luffy's friends are Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Tasmanian Devil. These are his friends now. Because when he fights in a very like Walt Disney, Warner Brothers style. And I would say it does work, but some folks hate it because it's kind of off-putting, it's not as serious, and so on and so forth. So that I think is way more of a personal perspective. Folks would appreciate the more, let's say, covered in all black armor hockey, glowing tattoos, edgelord sort of Luffy, rather than the zany, the Chad-like Looney Tunes Luffy. You see, people know that I personally love how Luffy fights in the Gear 5. I love it. It harkens back to the old school ways. It's very fun, it's very exciting, and mostly it's so unpredictable. And I love that. But again, personal preference here. I want to talk about more so fundamentally, because I can see three main reasons why a fair amount, I would argue, honest to God, a fair amount of people are turned off with this transformation far more than any other transformation we've seen Luffy do in the past. But keep in mind that I do overall love the Gear 5 transformation. But today I'm going to play devil's advocate because I can understand to a degree why some folks are not about the Monkey Nika D Luffy. So first things first, Nika. Now, even though Nika is a term that Zoro clearly is not a big fan of, right? But I digress, some folks would argue Nika seems a bit forced in the story. Because the first time we hear the name, the word Nika, is in chapter 1018 when Who's Who talks about the sun god Nika and how some slaves would pray to the Nika. So it seems very, very odd because it's only a few chapters later, essentially, where Luffy does pull out this new Nika Gear 5 transformation.
Crazy.
When you think about Oda and how he is lauded to be one of the masters of foreshadowing, we call him Goda for a reason, because there are so many aspects in the story, like hidden elements of the story, that have been set up like 300, 400, 500, 600 chapters ago, and they come back now in major ways. But the Nika being talked about during the Who's Who's fight against Jinbei, and then in Luffy's fight against Kaido, he transformed into said Nika, it kind of feels way more forced than the other foreshadowing bits that Oda is known for doing and known for doing masterfully. Now, there are, in fact, some arguments against this, where there may have been hints, not when it comes to the awakening, but particularly the idea of a sun god in conjunction with, let's say, Hito existing. So there will be some hints of a sun god deity, therefore we know that sun god is ultimately Nika, and these hints were established a while back. These hints are nowhere near as solid, okay? They're nowhere near as solid and robust as folks would like them to be. And particularly, it would be with the actual specific name Nika. The sun god in the story, I think clearly the hints have been established for a while. But the name Nika a lot less so. Like, if you really want to be generous here, like giving out Christmas presents and then going to a charity and donating half your income to the charity, if you go back to Fishman Island, there is a little mermaid girl actually named Nika among these quintuplet of girls. You have Ichika, you have Sanka, you have Yonka, you have Yonka-su, and then you have Nika. And Nika is the girl with the red and white striped attire with the blonde hair. That's Nika. The red would match the official design colors of Luffy's eyes in Gear 5, and of course white is the primary color for the Gear 5 design. Plus her shirt is red, and of course Luffy is always wearing a red shirt. And finally, on the volume 62 cover for Fishman Island, the quintuplet girls are swimming above Luffy, and Nika just so happens to be right above Luffy. Yeah, of course, I guess. And then on Zou, Frankie is wearing a Hito shirt, and Luffy's ability specifically now is the Hito Hito no Mi Mado Nika. So on Zou, you have the H-I-T-O, but the O is a sun, so that could, of course, refer to the Nika ability, Frankie's shirt. And in of itself, the sun god is referred to in the past, all the way on Skypiea in the Norland flashback. That is a fact. A sun god is first mentioned all the way in Skypiea, which is marvelous when it comes to, let's say, the foreshadowing for a sun god of some kind. So let's say you can make that one-to-one with what we see in Elbaf, where in Elbaf, during the Big Mom flashback, they also mention a sun god. But again, the idea of Nika is not brought up until 1018. I think that there are some hints, but they're very, very, very loose hints. Now, you can argue most of Oda's hints are loose hints like that. Fair enough. Of course. It is what it is. However, because it's for a big pivotal moment in the story, a big transformation, I really got the sense during the reveal that a lot of folks would like to have way more substantial, way more solid evidence of Nika being important in the One Piece world. Instead of, let's say, relying on someone like Nika, the girl among the quintuplets, let's say during the Ohara flashback, in the vast library at Ohara, not the YouTuber, but in the actual tree itself, in the vast library, there was a book, one of these ancient books, that actually references Nika in some vague capacity. That reference of Nika in that book, and Robin reads about that, of course, vague has no purpose until much later on, but it's way more substantive and gives a lot more credence to Oda's foreshadowing for such a pivotal moment for the main character, not a random mermaid girl. I can understand where on some fronts that's really damn dope, but on other fronts, it's nowhere near a solid foundation that a lot of folks would prefer for a major reveal like this.
消息不明だ。厄介な存在になってきた。本当に厄介な。
Number 2, the Gorosei. The Gorosei, for a very long time in the story, have been projected to be very competent and intelligent individuals, master manipulators and puppeteers for the world itself. Think of Doflamingo. Doflamingo is known to be a master puppeteer when it comes to manipulating and scheming and so on and so forth. The Gorosei are the ones who are manipulating and scheming better than, let's say, even Doflamingo. It's like the meme where someone is always puppeteering someone else on a higher scale. And the Gorosei normally have things in check, like under wraps. Of course, there are things that are beyond their control, and when that happens, they have a meeting, they plan, they scheme, and so on and so forth. However, the Gorosei kind of look not as good. All right, it's not their best showcase when it pertains to the Hito Hito no Mi Mado Nika. In chapter 1044, they literally say, and I quote from the Viz Media translation, possessing a body with the properties of rubber and fighting in whatever way he fancies, bringing smiles to the faces of the people, the warrior liberation, also known as Nika the Sun God. They know. And earlier in that same chapter, they reference how taking down the Nika ability user, was something they preferred to do even in the face of sacrificing elite agents and making Kaido, a Yonko, very upset at them. Why didn't these guys take out Luffy way earlier? Make genuine attempts, like always have admirals on his back. From the very beginning, he hit the Grand Line. Why not? It seems a little bit of a blunder, a major blunder on their part to allow Luffy to get to this point and then take it so seriously to where they have to risk their major agents. When someone like Blue Scarf could have killed Luffy way back when in the Grand Line, let's say on Drum Island. What the hell? And it gets even weirder when we've seen how they react to major Yonko activity. When the Yonko meet, whether it's Shanks and Whitebeard or Big Mom and Kaido, when they meet, they defecate. Their pants grow from black to brown. They just can't stop. It's diarrhea. But yet, oh, Nika, whoa! It's explosive diarrhea. A bunch of laxatives. After a Taco Bell session. It's bad news for your toilet and for the whole household.
Oh my God!
How? Why? What's going on? Remember the puppeteering meme about how there's always someone higher? Even though the Gorosei do look somewhat foolish, I'm gonna say somewhat because there appears to be something that they didn't know, that they weren't privy to, and then later on, they found it out, and then they immediately made the call to sacrifice Blue Scarf when they found out. And it's all done off screen. Because even though we have chapter 1044, there's also chapter 1037, where they say in the same chapter, no, that's impossible. That fruit is only a legend now, even to us. It has not awakened for centuries upon centuries. Then why would the world government bother to give that one specific devil fruit another name? It's to erase that fruit's name from the annals of history, isn't it? So in that chapter, they seem to be unaware of something pertaining to the Nika ability. Or in this case, you could argue, still, the Gomu Gomu no Mi. And then from that chapter to chapter 1044, they find out something, which is why in chapter 1041, Blue Scarf gets a sudden call out of nowhere, and they say, eliminate Straw Hat Luffy at once. Previously, it was all about, we gotta get Robin, we gotta kill Robin, Robin. Not the restaurant franchise, Red Robin.
Red Robin.
Yum, no. It is, we gotta take Robin at all costs. And that all of a sudden shifts to kill Luffy immediately. Now, hey, you die for the cause. It looks like they found out something that they weren't aware of. And then when they found out that something, they immediately acted. And the only thing that I think could let them know what the Gorosei didn't know is the one that sits on the true throne, the world throne, Emu. I think that Emu let them know something that they weren't aware of. And then when they knew that, when they found that out, boom, they immediately acted. Now, the reasons why Emu want to do that, who knows? No idea. So I can understand why a lot of folks are like, yo, the Gorosei are straight trash, or straight ass. But I think that does require a lot more clarification. Because there is evidence to indicate that the Gorosei were ignorant on something. And then they found out something. But I can still understand, without a doubt, I can still understand why people would be funky with that one. And then finally, the last thing, of course, the main character of a shonen, in many respects, is going to be special, without a doubt. But one of the things that a lot of people enjoy about Luffy's ability is that his ability does not seem to be special. Fundamentally, right? Luffy is rubber, and rubber normally is like a mid-tier, if not low-tier ability. It's not the one that he's like E Honda in Street Fighter, or let's say Junkrat in Overwatch. He really not, like in order to be good with said characters, you gotta be a specialist. Like you have to know the game in and out really, really well. However, when Luffy goes from a paramecia, the Gomu Gomu no ability, which for so long made him the underdog in so many respects, because rubber, let's say compared to magnetism or whatever the hell Law's doing, or magma or light, it's really not that big of a deal. However, now that he's a mythical Zoan, the Nika,
welcome to the family.
Now he's special. Much love for the sub, baby. Much love for the sub. Now he's special, really special. There is nobody on the planet like Monkey D's Luffy. And not only that, he is a One Piece specific deity, which I do think makes it better because we have no idea how the sun gods work in One Piece. According to King and Queen, dinosaurs could do like the funkiest things back in the past in the world of One Piece. Okay, well, I mean, of course it's a meme. But you know, I say of course, but who the hell actually really knows? However, we do not know how the deities work in the world of One Piece. Quote deities, end quote. The fact of the matter is that Luffy is special. He wasn't before in so many respects, and now he's extra special. The abilities are still rubber-based, but his limits, almost like Saitama, his limiters have been removed and he's just doing the craziest stuff. He's not going crazy Toon Force, Daffy Duck style just yet. Keyword yet. Him being a mythical Zoan now in of itself is odd for a host of reasons, but I'm going to save that for the video because one particular reason absolutely requires a separate video. And he appears to have all of the awakened benefits of an awakened paramecia as a Zoan. So Luffy is special, like earnest to goodness special. And I can see that taking away a lot of the sense of enjoyment for Luffy's character that folks had. And even though I myself, I'm not a big fan of the paramecia to Zoan change, I would argue that even though he's special, he had to bust his ass to be special. There is a progression over the course of the series, particularly in the post-time skip, where there were signs of Luffy being somewhat abnormal. We have folks like Doflamingo note to how Luffy doing what he's doing in Gear 4 should not be possible even for rubber. So Luffy being at this stage is the culmination of work that he has trained for since he was a kid, like a very young 7-8-year-old kid way back when in Fuchsia Village. It's the culmination of the entire process that led Luffy to this point in time to achieve awakening. Something that in of itself, awakening is not unique. We know that devil fruits can awaken, and Luffy at his core is just simply awakening his fruit like any other devil fruit user can. And also keep in mind that even though Luffy is quote special, Kaido was still kicking ass. That is very atypical for a lot of shonen special transformation. Normally when they get their new abilities, they kick booty. They destroy off the gate. No, that did not happen with Luffy. Kaido was still studly. He was super studly. Matter of fact, the only reason why Kaido loses that fight is because Kaido chooses to sit there and take the Bajrang gun. If it was Luffy at full HP now versus Kaido at full HP now, I still believe that Kaido is winning that fight 1v1. And there's plenty of evidence, I think, to showcase that this is the case. So even though Luffy is quote special end quote, there are other guys that are way more special. Like for example, Blackbeard, who has 2 devil fruits, 2. There are some super special, like not the slow class, but the advanced class. Oh yeah, the honor kids, the valedictorians. There are some people that are really spectacular in the world of One Piece, though albeit in the future, he's probably bound to be like the strongest guy in the world, with maybe the exception of Emu, who is arguably even more special than Monkey Jesus. So I can understand folks' stance on why they think that Gear 5 is a bad transformation. However, I would say without a doubt, Gear 5 is a net positive. It is a net, wow, this is fantastic. But I did want to give some love to the other side of the aisle, because even though I think it's fantastic, it's for damn sure not perfect.